I think we touched on this is parent accountability. Look, guys, with this crowd, I know I'm preaching to the choir. You're all obviously accountable. You came out tonight. You're always here. But the reality is, we tend to many folks blame principals, teachers, the school. Everyone's doing something wrong, and sometimes they are, without a doubt. But the reality is, it comes down to us parents. Our own accountability. Now, we know as a district, as a school, as a principal, it's really hard to hold a parent accountability. There's no parent evaluation form. There's no bonus if they do well. There's no penalty to the parent, at least not immediately, if they do wrong. But in the long run, there's a huge penalty to the parent and to the child. So when it comes to evaluating a parent's accountability, really, we're only accountable to our children. And in the long run, they're ultimately going to hold us accountable either today or 20 years from now, based on what their situation is and how their school was. So one thing I want to get out is, I personally realize there's 3 things that we really need to do and that we're working on. One of them the superintendent already talked about, which was with beginning with books, with early literacy, with giving parents something that can truly empower them. There's nothing worse than going to a PTO meeting or a PSEC meeting and watching the 2 strong egomaniacs in the room argue about whatever, the treasury report, or who's doing the most work for the school and doing the most volunteer hours. You go to those meetings twice and you never come back again because you're not getting what you need. You're not learning anything to help your child, and you're certainly not learning more yourself to help you and your family. So we're talking about family efficacy. What can we do as a district to provide parents with the tools that they can take home, that they can do all the necessary work they can help their child? And that's a whole range. That's not an easy fix. And we're starting to collect evidence. We're starting to get tools. Like some schools said, I know some curriculum coaches do great things. Some actually put out weekly calendars, just what to expect in 2nd grade this week. This is the kind of evidence we're trying to collect locally. We also know there's national groups, there's Macmillan, there's other groups that have this kind of information. Our goal is to get all this together and to create a vehicle so we can actually transmit this information to parents. So we're gathering information. We're trying to create structures in schools, because the reality is, you 40 or so people who decide to come out this night are concerned on a district level. But the bulk of our parents, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, they feel some attachment to their school and not necessarily to the district. So it's a little easier to get these folks to come to their school if you have something for them and a vehicle for them. So that's what we're trying to do as a district. So it's kind of twofold right now. Create that structure in schools. Give schools support they need. I'll be the first to say that I don't believe we've given schools, individual schools, enough guidance, enough support, and enough structure on how to actually create effective parent groups. And then once they have that, we have to ensure that they have the content. So on a school base, we create the structure. We then give them the necessary materials, the content, the step-by-step training. If it's every single month, we have to give them PowerPoints and slides and topics, and then that's what has to happen on a monthly basis. I have a lot of questions. 1 minute. One more thing to get to, then you can ask all the questions, well, for the next 3 minutes. So it's time to go. So we have to give them everything that they need. And then it comes down to us recruiting. I plan a heavy recruiting campaign, which includes volunteers. It's kind of, what's happening over the next several weeks, months. You're going to see a large kindergarten, pre-K recruiting campaign with posters, and you probably already got stuff in your home already, right? If you had a kid that was right now and about to go to kindergarten, you received a mailing already. We started last year with Begin with Books, and the superintendent sending a book to every 4-year-old that's going to potentially be going to kindergarten next year. So this campaign really kicks off now, actually next month. There's events happening all month in February, then we do it again in April. This is a campaign for kindergarten enrollment. We need to have the same kind of campaign, and we will, for parent engagement, to start recruiting and bringing parents into it. But I'll tell you right now, we'd be premature to do that if all they did when they went to the building right now was went to that PTO meeting and then walked out. So this is kind of what we're looking at strategically for the district. On a higher level, we're looking at the parent involvement, or I'll call it an institute, if you will. Something that gives real high-level training from the basics up to civic change. So again, the whole idea is to give something that's truly going to empower you. It doesn't happen overnight, and it can't happen in a vacuum. We absolutely need input from parents, from teachers, from. All right, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
because she has input already.
One fundamental thing that just drives me crazy.
Yes.
It doesn't mean coming to a meeting.
Absolutely not.
Because how many people, and I know that there's a percentage, and I always get this, there's a percentage of people who never look at the homework folder, who just don't care. For whatever reason, they don't care. It's not on their radar, and I don't know, back to your point, how to move those. Maybe it's more like one-on-one parent mentoring or whatever. But for the parents who are holding 2 and 3 jobs, who don't have daycare, who rely on bus schedules, I never hear anybody talk about, let's do a YouTube explaining geometry so that maybe they can get to, why don't we have stuff on our website?
Yes.
Take a podcast of this meeting and put it on the district website so that all the parents who can't be here tonight, we can, or read a piece of paper.
I will tell you, those are great examples.
When we keep talking about meetings, because I, for one, would rather be home reading to my kids right now.
Okay, that's one question. I want to address that because it's absolutely fair. It's great.
Sorry for the passion.
No, I love that. The first thing we said when I first started was we want to give credit to parents who are already doing the right thing at home, and we want to do things to empower them. So when I talked about these programs at home or at school, these aren't necessarily meetings. This could be a group where you're a parent who can't come to a meeting, right? So you need to receive materials at home, whether it's via email or whatever you like, but there has to be some way we touch base with the teacher. So while you don't have to come in, as a matter of fact, I would be great if no one came to any meeting, but everyone was actively and thoroughly engaged at home. So absolutely, that's a part of the training that we're looking at is really, in the school, there's 3 things. You got your PTOs and PSECs, but the last column, I don't have it here, is home. It's home. How do we get links to parents at home already to make sure that they have the same materials? But we want the parent, and you'll see it at the next button, to be proactive and stay in contact with the school. Whether it's a meeting or a phone call or an email. And I know that comes both ways. Teachers do the same thing. You can't just send emails and expect no response like sometimes I seem like I do.